Excellent customer service is very important.
Customers want to feel that you respect them, that you are there for them.
Just making sure the customer is satisfied.
I like the fact that I can communicate personally, not just over the phone.
At the end of the day, they know that they have that one person they can actually call on.
You want to treat that person how you would want to be treated.
We work 7 days a week, 365 days of the year. I try to make every experience a wow experience for the customer.
The Prime Minister sends a warning to those seeking to challenge him at the PLP's next convention. 4 men charged with the murders of a Grand Bahama couple. The police commissioner suggests stiffer bail restrictions could help with crime. And the National Security Minister leads a walkabout in the Kemp Road area. We've got those stories and more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and NV12 starts right now. Top news tonight, Prime Minister Perry Christie says he hopes Deputy Prime Minister Philip Brave Davis and other cabinet ministers with leadership aspirations recognize that challenging him is not the most appropriate course of action to take at this stage in our country. Christie spoke with reporters following a PLP Women's Branch meeting at the party's headquarters on Sunday. The PLP leader said if Davis decides to challenge him, his deputy should step down. Vani Toot reports.
As the Progressive Liberal Party prepares for its national convention in November, Prime Minister Christie says he hopes his deputy, Philip Brave Davis, does not challenge him for the leadership post, asserting that would not be the most appropriate course of action at this time. Christie made it clear that if Davis decides to go up against him, he fully expects him to resign.
If he proposes to run, that would be the appropriate course of action to take. And I'm hoping that that in itself would lend itself for Mr. Davis and any other cabinet minister recognizing that it is not the most appropriate course of action to take at this stage in our country to have a leadership race in this form.
Davis and Tourism Minister Obi Wilshcombe previously said they would only run for leader of the PLP if Christie steps down. However, sources close to Davis claim he intends to run. Christie said that would be the wrong move for 3 fundamental reasons.
One, that he's my deputy prime minister and has not given me any noticeable intention to do so. And secondly, he is a long personal friend and a person who has given me unstinting support. There's a third element. The confidence I reposed in him enabled me to give him a very significant portfolio of responsibility as a minister.
Back in June, Davis said he is ready for the job of Prime Minister. Asked if that was still the case last week, Davis said he has always been ready. The PLP deputy leader has the support of Tall Pines MP Leslie Miller and former PLP MP Philip Galanis, who have publicly endorsed him as the party's next leader. However, Christie said not so fast, telling hundreds of supporters in North Andros last week that he will run again for leader of the PLP. We asked the Prime Minister whether his relationship with his deputy has become strained.
I think rumors would cause relationships to be subjected to a lot of questioning. But he and I, on the last occasion in the cabinet meeting on Friday, sat next to each other and worked harmoniously together towards the desired results. And so I happen to believe at the end of the day, the relationship that we developed over decades will survive and will cause us to do the right thing.
Christie said he hopes Davis and other cabinet ministers with leadership aspirations recognize that challenging him would not be appropriate at this stage in the country. Given the many challenges the country faces, he says a leadership race at the PLP's upcoming convention would be an unnecessary distraction.
because of the importance of work that the Progressive Liberal Party government has to do, particularly with respect to the economy, unemployment, and crime. I would not want a convention to be distracted by a leadership race. My view has always been, as has happened, that when you want a leadership race, you specifically prepare for it, give people notice of it, and in fact have a prescribed list. I don't know why anyone would want to run against me and come into the unknown, because all you're doing is playing into the hands of the leader.
The PLP convention starts November 1st. The last PLP convention was in 2009. Reporting for NB12, I'm Vonique Tude.
Prime Minister Christie also defended his decision to stay on as PLP leader, asserting he will not allow anyone to put a political gun to his head. While addressing the PLP's women's branch at PLP headquarters on Sunday, Christie said there are leaders in the party who have told him that he must stay on as leader.
I want you to know that leaders of the party, trustees included, have been coming to me and telling me I don't have the right to decide that myself. I want you to know that I just don't make those decisions just like that. And I can tell you one thing. I'm not going to let anybody in this country put that proverbial political gun to my head. And you got to go.
Christie told the packed room that he knows what they will do at convention in November. He suggested a vote for him is in the best interest of the party and the country.
I want to conclude in the same way I began my speech in Annapolis.
All right now.
I intend to go into this convention as the leader at the end of the convention to be the leader. We want you to take that through the length and breadth of this country. And Harry Gladstone Christie will be the leader of the Progressive Liberal Party.
Grand Bahama residents crowded a magistrate's court on that island today as 4 men were charged in connection with last week's murder of a husband and wife who were shot dead in their home in Holmes Rock. 28-year-old Paul Belazar of Pinedale, 8 Mile Rock, 22-year-old Alan Alsame of Hannah Hill, 8 Mile Rock, 22-year-old Devon Hall of Pinedale, 8 Mile Rock, and 23-year-old Virgil Hall of Grenfell Avenue, Freeport, were charged with 2 counts of murder and 1 count of armed robbery. According to police reports, Barry Johnson and his wife Sheena Johnson were shot to the head on September 13th. The 4 men who appeared before Magistrate Gwendolyn Claude today were not required to enter a plea. The case was adjourned to December 12th, when the matter will proceed by way of a voluntary bill of indictment. Meantime, Alan, Alsame, and Virgil were also charged with 1 count of possession of an unlicensed firearm and 1 count of possession of ammunition. They both pleaded not guilty to the 2 charges. That matter was adjourned to January 20th, 2016. Following this morning's arraignment, the 4 men were transported to New Providence, where they were remanded to the Bahamas Department of Correctional Services. Well, 3 days after a Haitian man was shot in the head and killed in Palm Key, 2 brothers were charged with his murder. However, in court today, their attorney asked that their file be reviewed as she believes they're being wrongly charged. Kyle Joaquin reports.
2 brothers were today charged with the murder of Jean Richmond. According to police reports, Richmond was shot in the head and killed after he got into an altercation with another man on Friday at the luxury Palm Key community. Today, 39-year-old Dwayne Heasty of Palm Key in the black jacket and 36-year-old Samuel Heasty of Sandilands Road in the gray jacket were charged with intentionally causing the death of the Haitian national by means of unlawful harm on Friday, September 19th. The pair also picked up another charge for possession of an unlicensed firearm, namely a gray and black Fabrum 12-gauge shotgun, a gun to which neither of the men was the licensed holder. The men were also charged with possession of 6 live rounds of ammunition. They were not required to enter a plea. As they stood before Chief Magistrate Joyanne Ferguson Pratt, she noticed one of them kept smiling, Dwayne Christie. She said to him, "Young man, you realize you're in the court of law. This is not the place to be showing your teeth. This is not a social place." But just after Prosecutor Clifford Daxon said he would proceed by way of voluntary bill of indictment, the men's attorney, Christie Smith, made a request. She asked that the Attorney General's office further review the men's file, as she doesn't believe they should be charged with murder given the circumstances of what occurred on that day. She described her clients as being desirous to have their names cleared as soon as possible. Smith said the brothers have clean records and have never been exposed to this kind of environment, and she asked that they be allowed to see a therapist or psychiatrist. She turned around and pointed to the courtroom filled with their family members. One of the brothers, Dwayne Christie, cried as he told the magistrate that he has received death threats because of the public's perception of what happened. He said people have been trying to destroy our lives by way of killing us because of what they see on social media. The chief magistrate took note of it and said the superintendent of prisons would be notified. In the end, Ferguson Pratt gave 3 weeks for the Crown to review the files and determine whether to proceed with the case. The men will return to court on October 3rd. However, there was one more murder arraignment, this one involving a teen. 19-year-old Drew Wellington Storr of Fort Fincastle in the Black Hoodie was charged with the murder of Arlington Butler Jr. According to police on August 12th, while at New Providence and by means of unlawful harm, Storr did intentionally cause the death of Butler, who was shot and killed in Mason's Addition, the same area his father was murdered in just 8 months before. Now, the teen was denied bail. He will be back in court on November 9th for the presentation of a voluntary bill of indictment. Reporting from the Magistrates Court for NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
As the country's murder count hit 110 for the year, Commissioner of Police Ellison Greenslade today suggested that stiffer bail restrictions could assist in tackling the problem. Though he stressed that he is not pointing a finger at anybody, the police chief said something must be done to keep offenders out of communities until they have their day in court.
As long as our young sons walk around, relatively young people, with guns in their hands, with a propensity to kill and to hurt, they've done it before, they'll do it again, and we do nothing to keep them behind bars, we will continue to pick up dead bodies. Now that's going to offend a lot of people, but I'm going to say it again, listen to me clearly. Something must be done to get those people out of communities and where they belong until they have their day in court.
Greenslade said his words may annoy a lot of people, but he's just stating the facts. He shied away from specifically calling for stiffer penalties and restrictions on bail, but he noted accused criminals often wind up back on the streets, and repeat offenders are a concern.
It cannot be right for your man to walk around the streets in New Providence with an illegal firearm, to be arrested, and a few days later he's waving at the same officers that arrested him as if nothing has happened. There's something wrong with that equation. All right, that's not a mean-spirited statement, it's just a statement of fact. I am not going to speak to anyone who's going to be offended and say that the commissioner pointed a finger at them. I'm not interested in doing that. What I'm saying is, everyone that picks up a newspaper or listens to a news story is aware John Brown is accused of murdering someone. John Brown is taken before a court of law. I am saying John Brown should not be back in our communities to kill again. That is a simple statement.
Greenslade said simply arresting criminals obviously isn't solving the nation's crime problem. And even though officers are working like crazy to keep a lid on crime, they need some support.
What the commissioner is begging for, let me use the words begging for, is for some support, some help. If we arrest people that have committed the most egregious crimes in this country, they have reoffended more than twice, we are saying something should be done. Now, whatever it means, whatever that intervention is, it should be done. Obviously, the intervention of an arrest isn't solving the problem. We can't arrest ourselves out of this. But, we've got a hemorrhage and we need to stop it.
Speaking on the nation's rising murder count, Greenslade told reporters, don't worry about the number, explaining one murder is one too many.
I don't want to get caught up in numbers and whether it's going to be high, whether it's going to be low. The reality is one dead body in the Bahamas is one dead body too many. And we are not satisfied that we're living the way we should. That's common knowledge. We need to sort ourselves out as a country, as a people.